Democracy rests on power, legal, political, economic, even violent power if necessary. For democracy to actually represent a system of self-government and determination in a non-democratic environment like this one, a great deal of power must be gathered behind it. Democracy must overcome the superior power of the oligarchs involved. At RPI, these oligarchs are central administration and the trustees. Power must be seized. Power must be seized. It is rarely shared, and it is hardly ever given. Last week's letter by the head of RPI trustees recognized this power reality clearly. Nothing that the trustees have the power under the Act of Incorporation, and that's why they're going to determine where, when, and how the faculty will meet to spout its advice. We have the power, and we will use it. You do not. That was an essence of the board's letter. The necessary relation of democracy to power creates a problem at RPI. Faculty, academics are opposed to the use of power on ethical grounds. But most academics seem to be very timid as personalities. Faculty can write strongly worded memos and issue cutting conceptual critiques, but when anything else but sentences are on the line, and when in fact more than linguistic power is wielded against them, most of them seem to wither. For these reasons and others, academics are highly inexperienced in developing power strategies, not to mention effective ones, and they are even more incapable of wielding them effectively. The know-how is just not there. Therefore, as conveyors, creators and sustainers of democracy, faculty cannot generally be relied on. To believe, to commit to, even to love democracy means enabling it, and very few of us do. This is perhaps the greatest crisis of living democracy that we now face at RPI, the faculty wimp factor. 2 weeks ago, I attended a suspended faculty senate meeting. The provost was the guest of honor at the meeting, the man who suspended that body from existence. The meeting was lousy with respectful, even deferential language. The provost had committed nothing short of tyranny against that body from a democratic perspective, and these victims were speaking to this individual as if he were simply a colleague. Why? Some of the above reasons were at work, I think. I also suspect some faculty thought to be conciliatory, hoping that they could get more by bargaining. Of course, everyone deserves respect as a person. Robert Palazzo deserves it. But playing the role of provost to tyrannize the very audience he now addresses requires a very different response from those taken advantage of. The provost noted time and time again how he accepted full responsibility for spending the Senate, but nothing happened. When committing a tyrannical act, accepting the blame, being sanctioned and delivering rich compensations for what you've done. None of this has happened. For example, the provost could go to the board, acknowledge that recommendation to them was completely autocratic, beg that it be rescinded, and resign if it is not. Let's all watch to see if any of these things happen. Now consider faculty responsibility. In deciding to be conciliatory toward the provost, not one of the faculty apparently had consulted the constituent faculty that they democratically represent to find out if they wanted conciliation. Indeed, the referendum the faculty had voted on seemed to declare otherwise. But instead of asking those that they represent, the senators did what? In the head of the faculty senate, now joining a provost committee to change the faculty handbook of all things, what was he doing? I'd guess that the senators were acting in the faculty's best interest or presumed interest as they saw it. Well, that is strictly paternalism. Indeed, this is precisely what an officer of the Senate communicated to me to reassure me in just those words and without taking the slightest pause for democracy. Is that how the Senate did democracy before suspension? If the faculty and if the students at RPI wish for a true democracy, democracy that approaches self-governance, self-rule, and self-determination, they have to find the power and power strategies and power wielders that can make this real. Having grown up in Brooklyn, I have some ideas on this matter. But a teach-in is meant for stimulating and sharing ideas amongst your fellow students and fellow faculty, so I leave that to you. But first, I would like to leave with 3 hints. Strategy 1. Faculty communication with parents on issues of whether RPI corporate has acted in the best interests of education. Strategy 2. Combining with powerful unions, muscle unions, not educational ones. And strategy 3, mass leafleting of Troy residents to create a referendum on whether they want the Troy property tax base so strongly eroded by the tax exclusion of Troy's extensive property and substitution by the Rensselaer Slush Fund. My recent communications with Vinnie Bruno of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters has been very promising. Thank you.